All right, what's up, y'all, and welcome to Teaching Tuesday. So today we are going to discuss open voicings, and I don't mean, like E and those kind of open voicings, but actually voicings where there are open strings in the middle of the chord. Maybe in some instances on the root, but also just in the middle of the chord. So open fourth, third, second, first string, sort of things. So I kind of got this idea from a few other people, namely Jim Hall and Peter Bernstein are pretty well known for using these types of voicings, and they can be you can kind of get some different sounds, some sort of more like clustery, cool intervals, a little crunchy, dissonant sounds, just some different interesting voicings that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise, and they're a little bit unexpected, like you might not think to hear that on a guitar. But okay, let's start with something pretty simple. I'm going to go over 5 basic voicing structures here, but I'm going to nerd out a little bit and get a little carried away. So with each voicing, we'll kind of do some variations. But here's just voicing number 1. Now this is actually, I think, fairly common. It's a very lush sounding E minor 11. So we do have an open E string, so an open root. And then basically we kind of have like almost like a B minor voicing here. So I'll just go through the notes separately. It's E, B, F sharp, G, that's the open string, the G there. And then D and A here. So you really have like all of the extensions on a minor chord that you could possibly have, right? So namely the 9th and the 11th. And then you have that little crunch here, which is really nice, between the 9th and the 3rd. That's a very nice voicing, and I don't really have any variations on that. We'll just keep that one pretty simple. But the next one, let's see what happens. Okay, so then we have also, these first couple are going to be fairly common. So we have an A major 9, right? So we're using all 6 strings again, and we do have an open root note this time, and I'm also playing the open E. You can choose to add that or omit that if you want. It gives it a little more thickness, but of course you don't really need it, and you have an E at the top too. So you're basically just playing 2 frets here, 2 notes with your left hand. So we have a G sharp and a C sharp. So both on the 6th fret, the 4th and the 3rd string, respectively. Now this voicing is kind of cool because we can vary it and get a lot of different sounds. So we'll just move one note at a time. So let's move the 4th string, so that's the 7th, and we'll just move it down a fret. So we have a flat 7th. Okay, well now you have a dominant 9, and this one I feel like Jim Hall. It rings. It speaks Jim Hall to me. I can't remember exactly where he uses it, but yeah. Okay, so then cool, and then we can also. You can do a lot of different things, but we'll just move one note at a time. Then we're going to take the 3rd now, which is on the 3rd string, and we're going to move it down 1 fret. And now you have an A minor 9. Okay, and then we're going to take the 4th string, so that's the 7th, and move it down to a 6th. Now you have an A minor 6th, and then we'll take it 1 notch further, and we will add a D. So we'll take out that open A, and we're going to put your 2nd finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string there, and now you have a D7. And there's a lot of things you can do with that. I'll do one more variation, and we're going to actually just move our third string, which in this case is going to be a C, which is the 7th, and we're going to take it back up to a major 7th. So that's a C sharp. And that's going to sound like that. Very nice. And then if you want to get some extra thickness, you're going to get the 5th there. So you're going to get which is going to be the 5th fret on the 6th string. Very nice, lush chord. All right, we got very carried away there. We have a lot of voicings, a lot of variations on that one. I told you I was going to nerd out. But okay, now we are going to jump into a different voicing pattern. This one's a little less common. So here's a B flat major 7. This is what it sounds like, and then we're actually going to add the sharp 11 there. But this is going to be very crunchy because we have the 5th right next to the sharp 11, so that's a half step away. That's what gives it that real crunch. You might not think it works theoretically, but it does. So that's why we call it a sharp 11 and not a flat 5, because, and if you take the 11 down 1 octave, that becomes a 4th. So we have a sharp 4 and a 5. So that's why it's not a flat 5, because you can also have the 5th in there. But yeah, so we have B flat, D, A, open G, that's where the open string is, F, and then E. So it's basically, no, actually it's not basically anything. It's just a weird little thing of its own. Okay, so that's our B flat major 7 sharp 11, something like that. Okay, now we're gonna lower the 7th, so that's gonna be on the 4th string. And we're going to lower it to an A flat. Ooh, nice. And yeah, now we have B flat 13 sharp 11, something like that. All right, one more variation. We're going to now take out the B flat from the bottom, and we're just going to make it an open E. Okay, so now we have 2 E's, but it's a very cool, like, E altered kind of sound. And again, we have that rub is what makes it very cool. That's a half step, in this case, between the 3rd and the sharp 9. All right, cool. And that's our structure for that voicing. Okay, now we're gonna look at another structure here. So this is an A flat major 7, something like that. So this actually, we don't have a 3rd in this voicing, so make that of it what you will. But anyway, so we have A flat, F, and then we have a G here. That's the open string, open G, and then E flat, B flat. And you can also, you don't need to use this top string. You can also just, it works nice just like that. Okay, we're gonna do a couple variations on this one. So then we can also take your root, move it up a 4th to the 5th string on the D flat. And now we have a full chord because we have a 3rd now, although we don't have a 7th. So yeah, I don't know. It's a very cool sounding chord. We have a D. This is now a D flat major 7 sharp 11, and you have that cool rub here. The 3rd next to the sharp 11. But yeah, you don't have a 7th, so that's an interesting tidbit. Okay, now we're gonna move this chord up a lot of frets. How many frets is that? Like 10 frets? No, 8 frets? Something like that. Okay, we're gonna move it up to the 11th fret. Now we actually have a full chord, so to speak, and then we have a 3rd and a 7th. So we're back to A flat. We have A flat, the 3rd, which is C. We still have that open G, so it's the same. Like if you notice, we're just taking the same shape and moving it up. All right, so we have A flat, C, G, B flat, and F. Now we can also move that F down to an E flat. And that's a perfectly good chord too. It's a little less colorful because we have a 5th there instead of a 13th, but very nice. Okay, last voicing. This is probably my favorite one, and I'm not going to do any variation, so it's just as is. And it sounds like this. Ooh, love this chord. This I'm pretty sure I stole from Peter Bernstein. But the reason why it's so cool is because we have the... well, actually, we did this in another voicing, the B flat, but we have the 5th right next to the sharp 11. Ooh, I love it. And now it's a little crunchy. It's a little hard to play if you get that G at the bottom. So you don't have to do that. But like going up, it's going to be G, C, F sharp, open G, D, and then open E. And you could also just do it without the G at the bottom. So it sounds like this. Very good, just a little less thick. Kind of has like almost a Joni Mitchell-y vibe to me. Yeah, I guess we don't have a 7th. So that's an interesting part of that chord, but it kind of still serves that major function. Yeah, so I hope you guys found that helpful. I hope I'm just kind of planting the seeds here so you can just figure out a lot of these voicings on your own once you kind of get the concept. I would, encourage you to just explore throughout the neck and see what kind of voicings you can come up with on your own using the same sort of template, the same sort of logic. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in to Teaching Tuesday, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Full video on YouTube and PDF of this lesson as well as all other Teaching Tuesdays on the Patreon linked below. So definitely check that out if you're interested, if I'm moving too fast, etc., etc. Otherwise, I'll see you next Tuesday.